Welcome to 20 Minutes of Clarity, your go-to podcast for financial insight and advice. I'm your host, Jason Noble.
And with me today, I have Andy the Man Merchant. We're laughing already as we get started this podcast on thankfulness and having that professional relationship, even with a trusted advisor that becomes your friend over time. Because I'm wearing my gobble gobble shirt. I'm wearing my Thanksgiving shirt. It expands as I continue to eat and watch football as the day goes on. It just works with me, and it become a staple within the family tradition now. So you got to have a lot of confidence to wear this shirt on a podcast for sure. Okay. But Andy, obviously, we were talking about who we're thankful for as we were preparing for this podcast. I'm obviously grateful for all the clients that entrust, not just me, but you, right? Our clients that entrust us within their financial futures and their journey towards reaching their life's ambitions. I'm also grateful to our staffs. If it wasn't for our staffs that are able to take the calls that are coming in when we're meeting and having this podcast, servicing the people that reach out for things that came up, we couldn't be able to do this. And they allow us to have a deeper impact with everyone that we serve, which we're so grateful for our staff, our families. To be married to a financial advisor is not a walk in a park,
Hmm.
especially in down days, right? Or down markets or Federal Reserve decisions that make absolutely no sense. I'll digress. But to our spouses, but then also to our children. We work in a profession that we could get to a lot of events. Thank God we could do
Hmm.
that. But there's also travel requirements of our responsibilities that could take us away from an event or two, and it eats at us. Uh, but we're grateful to our children that they understand, that they know that we want to be there, but they understand that we can't be there all the time. I don't want to speak for you, Andy, but I do want you to share with me and our audience some of the things that you're grateful for as we're going into Thanksgiving week.
I know. Well, I think it's the big one is those that are like busy week, a lot of families probably in town doing things, and they're still tuning into this great, insightful podcast about simplification. But no, I think it's still an important one. I'm thankful for the fact that we've been able to come together and provide this resource. Right? I mean, you've covered everything that you said. I echo 100%. Not worth repeating it on this, but the fact that we have some great partners out there. Our partners help produce this podcast on a weekly basis. I mean, there's so much time that goes into this that without it, we're not able to do the things we want to do and be able to produce all this content on a weekly basis. So I'm thankful for the support network. But it always boils down to we're not advisors without clients, just like a pool's not a pool without water, right? We're still having that debate. I think we've talked multiple times. So we felt that during this week, it's important to kind of understand the fact that let's not get lost in the closeness that our business naturally can get into with people to where we get maybe a little blindsided at times, from our professional relationship. And so I really think that the message of today is about that balance, right? How do we as advisors balance that being that trusted person means that we're taking phone calls and being there for clients in vulnerable times. Jason, you've shared throughout the year how you've always been there for your clients. We both have been at late hours or early mornings. We appreciate the grace we get from our families for allowing us to be on the phone, probably way after hours than we need to be there for our clients. But how do you separate? I mean, this might be switching to more of a question for you.
Hmm.
How do you separate that closeness with your client, with the intimate moments, those personal moments that you share that could ultimately maybe get to where you're so trusted that no matter what they'll say, will they ever question what you're advising them on?
Yeah, it's really the trusted advisor mindset because the mindset really matters. And it's something that I always like to do when I'm preparing for a meeting because, my clients have been working with for a long time. And it's like seeing great friends and getting caught up on what's going on since we last met. And they're coming in and they're asking me about my wife and my kids and everything that's going on in my personal life. But I don't want the whole meeting to be about that, right? And so my first mindset is I'm always focusing on the other person. Um, Everything else in the relationship, as long as I do that, will fall into to place. And it's not just focusing on other uh, on the it's not just focusing on the problem that that person may be facing. It's focusing on them as a person as well, Andy.
Yeah.
It's always going into like what kind of value can I bring into this conversation, right? And I want to make sure that it's not just like my technical expertise that's coming into play. It's also how well I know them that I could customize that recommendation specifically to them, you know. But this is front of mind for me. And the reason why it's front of mind is I've seen other advisors when I worked at other firms, they would just get into a pattern of catching up with good friends that they stopped being a financial advisor. They stopped tackling some of the tougher questions, right? And I get it, right? There is that part of the relationships that we form, but I really put that on the advisor. The advisor goes, hey, you know what? I really enjoyed our conversation, but I do think it's important that we talk through what are we going to do to wrap up this year and offset some taxes that are coming your way? How can we focus on that and transition that conversation to addressing a need that's not even brought up by the particular couple or that client? I always want to focus on answering the questions my clients have, but addressing the questions that they don't even know to ask yet. And it's that mindset. How do
Hmm.
you go about that mindset of not just being a dear friend to your clients that you've been working with for a
Hmm.
while, but also staying as that trusted advisor where you're also making an impact on their financial lives?
Yeah, I mean, it's the balance that we always that we struggle with, right? And the biggest thing that I think that was built out of that was I'm a data guy, you're a data guy, right? And I think data is what always keeps the relationship balanced. I want to be friends. I want to be there with my clients. I want to hang out, right? Those are the things that we want to do, and I don't ever want that to go away, and I never want to take that for uh, um, you know I just don't. I want to always appreciate those moments. But here's the things: what do we do? When we built the Clear Picture Wealth Program and we built the Clear Picture Analysis, the design behind all that was to provide the facts with the data, so that way we're always providing the client with that advice that's centered around facts, and not just, hey, because we've been friends forever, we've shared moments on the golf. We're going to have tough conversations, but I want to be held accountable for the things that I can't control, right? But I also want to have the grace around the things that I can't, right? And so that's the big focus. And I my message really that I tell clients, and I think the reason we talked a little bit about this, Jason, is I get so many times we do a clear picture analysis for a client. We give them great, insightful advice that they haven't heard from their current advisor. And then you go to talk to them about, hey, we'd love to engage with you with the next step. We'd love to start building that trusted relationship. We know that takes time, so we respect that. And they're like, well, you know what? I've worked with my current advisor for many years. No pun about that. But then they get into the, oh, it's a family member, or oh, it's somebody I went to college with. And then it's like, well, how long have you talked to them? They're like, I don't know, once a year. So then you start saying, are they truly the right advisor? Are they really incentivized to give you that advice? Can they balance and separate the things that you need to hear when you need to hear them versus just trying to take advantage of the relationship I'm going to use, right? Not all advisors. I mean, I've got clients, you've got clients that have been around us forever. There's at times we probably get a little close on that. I don't want to lose any of my clients. You don't want to lose yours, but it is. I think it's the note of understanding that there has to be a balance. There has to be that firm discipline that understands that there's a time that we have to be professional, and then there's times that we can be friends, and then there's times that we can be support systems, right? And so really kind of knowing what hat I'm wearing, when I'm wearing, and when I need to wear it, I think is so important on how I balance and maintain that core relationship.
One of the things that I always like to share is I always think it's important to have an agenda for the meetings that we're going to have. The agenda allows us to still have personal conversation, but it also allows us to get into the actual agenda on the financial planning topics that matters. And I hear it too, here in Charleston, people that come in to get a second pair of eyes and another opinion. Turns out that they got advice from a family member that was a financial advisor, and they only meet with them a couple times a year, if that. And in those conversations that they share with me, I'm looking over the strategy. What they tell me they want is nowhere near what they have. Like one that's really near and dear to my heart right now is this new couple came to me, um, and they have children and grandchildren, and they said to me, I really want my money to be managed in a way it's better for my grandchildren's generation. And I said, what does that look like? Now, this particular couple said, I want limited exposure to fossil fuels and to like fracking and things of that nature. Now, could you imagine, right? Like, okay, can I do this all the time? Probably not. But I have resources that
Mm-hmm.
allows me to then explore these different investment theses. And so I was able to do a comparative analysis. They have investments that have 47% of their money invested into fossil fuels, 38% into fracking. And we got that through the Morningstar X-ray. We were able to see this.
Mm-hmm.
So what they wanted, the advisor that is their family member, put them into things that had nothing to do with their investments and their investment thesis. It was such a striking contradiction that it was unfathomable to me that this person would even call themselves a fiduciary financial advisor, right? Legally obligated to do this in a client's best interest and not even taken into account what they said very clearly into how they constructed the strategy. So we were able to show them here's what you're currently invested in. But the way that my associate advisor presented it came across like this is what we were recommending. And the couple was like, you didn't hear a word we said. We don't want any of this. And I corrected my associate. I'm like, no, that's what you currently have.
Mm-hmm.
They were beside themselves with frustration that their family member, it was a nephew, that did this to them. They were like, we don't want to deal with him anymore on with our money.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it was a tough thing for them to hear. It was tough as well for me to deliver that kind of information, right? But I wish I had less of these kind of stories. 20 years of doing this, Andy, I
Yeah.
have so many stories about how like the relationship became the centerpiece of the meetings versus the quality and what was the overall guidance that the advisor is giving. So if you're in that situation right now where you're like, yeah, I do see my advisor as a friend, but I can't tell you the last time we met that they added any significant value. It's just going into this is where you want to go to clearpicturefinancial.com. Review the white paper from this conversation. Schedule a consultation with one of our specialists. Let's see if what you want to have in your financial future is being baked in by your current financial plan. Let's see if what they're doing is in line with what you expect them to do. And I want to share something that's near and dear to my heart. It's also, I'm just grateful to be part of the Rotary Club. And there's a four-way test that we ask ourselves in being able to really, of the things that we think, say, or do. Number one is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I share what the Rotarians talk about in every single meeting across the world with over 100 countries, with everyone that's listening right here. Rotarians right now are like pumping their fists, like, yeah, Noble, drop the knowledge, right? But non-Rotarians, think about those kind of 4 questions in our society and our relationships. If you ask those 4 questions in every interaction that you have, how better your friendships will be, how better this country will be, right? How
Mhm.
better the world will be, the communities that we live in and work in could be. That's why I resonated with the Rotary. Those 4 questions was one of the main things, but it's something that I just was able to put like a pen to paper to going. I ask those 4 questions. I'm able to make a better impact on everyone that I'm working with, whether if I just met them or if I've been friends with them for a long time.
No, I think that's powerful, right? I think it's alignment. There's so much to it, but it expands beyond um, just the friendship, right? I mean, the friendship's the baseline, then it goes into it. So I appreciate you sharing that. I hope that people that are listening kind of see the basis of it all. And I think really the takeaway is, I'm not telling you not to like your friend or your nephew, right? Because their advice or question their advice, right? It's not really about questioning. It's about making sure you're aware that the relationship at times, and we're all subject to it, can get a little blurry. And I prefer 2020 vision. We don't have a clear picture with not 2020 vision, and so by bringing that awareness to those that are listening and viewing, I think is kind of objective one. Is just be aware of the blur because it's out there, it's capable. Things that can correct your vision back is make sure that your clear picture advisor or your that's us. Make sure that your advisor that you're working with is going to make sure that they are bringing data centered information to you that's proactive. Jason, you do it better than anybody, but we are so focused on team. Sometimes there's a point in time when you're not out of the picture. You just found a better teammate to communicate the message to reduce the blur. So sometimes having Ryan or Sean, become that kind of go-to relationship advisor. Sometimes advisors look at us to be like, what, am I not good enough to work with you anymore? Did I change in my value? And it's like, no, it's just like at the same time, I want to make sure that we're always crystal clear in how our message is delivered. And so by focusing on that, a team approach is going to really ensure that we've built in that platform, right? And then the final one is just being true to ourselves, right? Is just being true to the fact that we don't want to ever get in the situation to where our relationships are the center. They should never be the center. They should be really darn close to the center, but it always needs to tilt more towards to that data, that fiduciary role that we are always in it for the best interest of the clients, and we don't want to take advantage of that. So I think you've got your kind of 4 steps that you've brought to the table with the Rotary vision and how it works. It applies well to what we're trying to talk about. But those are our 3 visions when it comes to creating a clear picture relationship, with your advisors and not getting those lines blurred.
Well, don't get those blur lines. Get clarity, right? Get that financial clarity by going through our clear picture financial pathway where we go through 9 different steps that take you from where you may feel just you could have anxiety, you could have fear or frustration, you could have so much time dedicated to managing your finances that you just go, okay, is there a different way to do this? And going through those 9 steps could bring you towards that financial clarity that you're seeking so that you could reach your own life's ambitions. And with that being said, go to clearpicturefinancial.com to go through the training. You could also schedule a consultation or review this white paper that from this podcast at your leisure, so then you could be able to take away the things that we discussed here as well. That was Andy the Man Merchant. I guess I am Jason the
Dropping
Turkey
knowledge.
Man, gobble gobble, the drop of knowledge, gobble gobble, noble. You just watch and listen to 20 minutes of clarity. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Without you, we don't have a podcast. And until next time, be well and be safe and enjoy time with the loved ones.